Welcome into another Packers offensive breakdown. This week, we obviously have the Tennessee Titans and another Packers W. So, good 30-16 victory. We're going to take a look at several plays, obviously both positive and negative. And in general, it was a good performance again. Matt LaFleur doing very well with Malik Willis as his quarterback. Malik Willis also being very efficient with the ball. And at the end, I'll do kind of a final recap of everything that we see. So let's get started. Play number one is pretty easy. First play of the game. Starting out, they think we're going to be run heavy. A nice play action here. Gets Jaden Reed open in space. And we'll just kind of focus on the Tennessee linebackers here. So we know last week, very, very run heavy. Again, this week, backup quarterback. They assume we're going to be run heavy. So watch these linebackers and how influenced they are by this run play. All right, so you've got a fake toss there. Malik Willis does a good job. Gets his eyes and his shoulders both facing towards this pitch. And you've got the pull action out and the receivers that look like they're coming in to kind of get a crack block on the center. On the mic there, and instead he slips him, gives him a little bit of a bluff, and now you can see the over pursuit by the linebackers. So you have both of them standing on each other's toes, and that's just going to create a ton of separation. Kenneth Murray gets around, gets lost. Jaden Reed, big gain, nice play design. Dobbs gets thrown to the turf there, but you get to see it much better from the end zone view. Nice pass protection there. Just enough time. Reed wide open. Willis puts it on him. And a nice gain. Next play, we're going to get a pressure look here. You're going to see the safety creeping up the line. You got a lot of guys in the box here. So you're going to get a ton of pressure. And we'll just pause it there. And you can see we've got a cover one blitz that's on here. All right. Again, we got more play action. So trying to kind of go off that idea, we're going to be running the ball. We're going to have a nice rollout and a nice route by Wicks, but also just better coverage here on the play and a not so good throw. But we're going to have guys that are open. Malik Willis rolls out, sees Wicks here at this point, right, making eye contact. His arm is winding up, and he's going to try to fit this in there. But it's going to be an inaccurate ball. So it could have been back-to-back big plays to start the game. But unfortunately, this ball is inaccurate, and it's just something that he has to try to improve over time. So it's got a man bearing down on him. Throws it a little bit too far. But good play design. Receiver is open. It's just a misplay by the quarterback there. All right, next play, we're going to have, again, cover one by the Tennessee defense. So we're just going to have this one high safety in the middle of the field. And then we're going to have man across the board. All right, so you're going to have man all here. You've got man here, and then man on the tight end as well. So essentially what you want to do, you just want to avoid that post safety in the middle of the field. So what this concept is, it's going to be a shock concept. So shock concept is kind of like a stick concept, except it's instead of the outside receiver doing a fade, it's actually the inside receiver that does a slot fade. All right, so you're going to have a stick route here, and then you're going to have a hook out here, and then you're going to have this slot fade that goes up. All right, and this is when you take your shot. You know you're going to have one-on-one coverage. We've got a decent release, good speed by Watson. And he's able to make a nice back shoulder catch there. So keeping that ball towards the sideline, keep it away from the safety. And it's a nice decision by Malik Willis on a third down and a big time catch by Watson. Next play, we're just going to look at an example of why we couldn't run between the tackles. You've got a very stout defensive line. I'm sure you guys noticed this during the game, but you've got the rookie right here, Sweat, somewhere around 360 pounds. That is a very, very large man, especially for a rookie. You've got an all-pro tackle there in Jeffrey Simmons. Very, very good defensive lineman as well. But we're just going to see this play, how it develops, why we're not able to get any push, and why the Tennessee defense was one of the top-rated defenses going into this week. So just absolutely stuffed at the line of scrimmage. There were other plays I looked at that they just do a much better job with run fits than the Packers. But here we're going to focus on Sweat. Right? He's going to be one-on-one with Myers here, essentially. And he's just going to work inside and beat Myers. Right? That is a big boy to try to push around. And I'm not quite sure Myers has that in his strength to be able to push around a 360-pound man. But it was very, very tough for the Packers to run inside the tackles, which is why they start to run outside the tackles. And we'll see that on this next play. So running outside the tackles, you still show it that you're going to run inside. So we've got a nice read option on this next play with Malik Willis. So you're reading that end. You're still running an inside zone. So the flow is going to be this way. But by reading this defender here, you can leave him unblocked, right? So the read option is essentially a two-way go, right? And this is going to be Malik Willis making a very nice read, because if this defender crashes, you keep it, you go out, you escape. If he stays out wide, then you give it, right? So read option is very popular in the college game, but of course it is still used in the NFL, and we'll see that here. So bam, edge crashes, get some nice blocks, nice little juke to get outside, read, blocking downfield, and we get a touchdown on the opening possession. So Malik Willis doing a very good job, kind of allowing the Packers to be able to run outside, had a very solid game, and it wouldn't be complete without those receivers, the young receivers working together for team scores. So well done there. And speaking of those receivers, again, try to get the ball out quick. That's the game plan. You got a young quarterback there who's relatively new to the offense. Make it simple. Let those receivers work. I know we've got a nice seal here by both Wicks and Dobbs. You can see that here at the bottom of the screen. Right? Doesn't seem like a lot of daylight, but they both turn their defenders in opposite directions, and it creates a lane. Allows him to get upfield, nearly a first down. And these young receivers, even though Malik Willis is a very humble guy, if you've seen any of his press conferences, these young receivers wanted to go out there and get a win for him against his former team. So these guys were fighting all game, and that's just something I love to watch on film each week. It's the effort that these guys give. Next play, we'll look at another element that Willis brings to the game, and it's that escapeability. Very quick jump step there, escapes the rush. It's a nice long run for a first down. But we'll come back to the beginning of that play, and we'll take a look at how this kind of breaks down. We've got essentially an out and up here by Dobbs. We've got a snag out by Reed. We have a check release. So he's going to check this edge, and then he's just going to come up and hook. And then we've got a little bit of a swing by the back. But we also have this backside dig, the basic route that Matt LaFleur loves to run. The Shanahan system loves those backside digs. And we're going to have a cover 3 sky from the defense. All right, cover 3 sky. You're going to have a middle third. You're going to have a deep third. He's going to have a deep third. And then the safety comes to play the curl to flat. So we looked at the cover 3 sky last week with the Packers. They play it. So it's not something that is brand new. But I think Willis here is a little bit too slow on his third read. All right, he's not able to make the throw here to Reed underneath. He can see that there's coverage over the top on Dobbs. So his eyes should be coming back at this point. Now that he sees these four defenders on 2 receivers, he should be coming back to the middle of the field. And if he's able to get his eyes around and his shoulders around, this is going to be another big completion. Right? And instead, he gets his eyes around. He can see him, but then he also sees this rusher out of the corner of his eye. So instead, he jumps out and he's able to make a play. So even though he's not able to get through his progression, he's still able to make a good play for the Packers. Not going to do too much because we've already looked at a read option before, but this is just, again, the blocks downfield. It's something you don't really see on the TV copy until they show a replay. But Kraft has been having a great year. Dobbs downfield, again, blocking for his quarterback. So just a great run by the Packers. You read that end, you pull it, and it gives you so much options on what you're supposed to do, and it stresses the defense. And when you get good blocks downfield, that's when you get explosive runs. All right, next play, I want to highlight Sean Ryan. So I know earlier this season we talked about him not performing quite well, but this game was different. So he actually played every single snap for the Packers this game. So it seems like he's won that competition for the moment over Jordan Morgan. But this is going to be a nice kind of second level attack by him. So keep your eye on him this play. And we're going to see this nice explosive run as a result. So he's able to get up, get some hands on the second level defender, forces a little bit of misdirection, and Wilson is able to sneak through. So you can see Tom give him a little bit of a fist bump there. But we're going to have a nice toss, nice seal on the outside. Kraft gets his hands on a defender. That separation of the defender trying to get off of Sean Ryan's block as well gives Wilson a nice little cutback lane because he jumps too far out, and that allows him to get 3 or 4 extra yards. So well done by Ryan on that play. All right, this is another one of those backside digs. That's going to be a completion this time. So we're going to have a backside dig here that's going to end up getting to Dobbs, and that's going to be a nice completion. Defense is in what seems to be a cover 6, but essentially you've got a stubby call where you're going to have man on the backside. So we're going to have man situation on the left side of the defense, their left, and then you're going to have a zone coverage scheme on the right side. So this defense is prone to crossing routes, but it is a technique that is used often in the higher levels of football. So you're essentially going to have numbers over these players, right? So you're going to have your 1, 2, 3, 4 over 3 on this side, and then you're just going to have lock up on the 2 guys underneath, and you're going to have a safety over the top to help. So you're essentially going to have a 3 deep look. You're going to have zone on this side with 1 hook defender, 1 curl to flat defender, and then you're going to have man on the other side. And this is going to be stressed by the Packers route combination. So you're going to have essentially a deep out, and then you're going to have a skinny post through the middle. So that's going to influence these 2 safeties on this side, and it's going to also call in this safety to check with that post. All right, so you now have those 3 deep players that are occupied, and what that does is it opens up the underneath. And since this is man on the backside, that underneath dig, all he has to do is beat this 1 guy and make sure he doesn't run far enough into this hook zone. So we'll take a look at that, how it breaks down. You can see his eyes as well, looking to the left, making sure he's influencing those safeties. He's got his hitch, and he's already ready to fire as soon as Dobbs is coming out of his break. So he's going to catch the ball right at the hash, make a move, try to get a few extra yards, even though he's already past the first down line, and a nice completion on 3rd down to move the sticks. Another lovely element of the run game are these little orbit motions you're going to see here with Jaden Reed. Orbit comes around, gets a lead blocker from Chris Brooks there, and a very solid gain. So Jordan Love signaling the first down. But of course, we've got some solid blocks downfield. So we're going to see very nice reach block by Jenkins to get the outside shoulder of this defender. And then you're going to have the others that are getting upfield to try to get second level blocks. And then, of course, when you're doing this orbit motion coming around, it allows your tailback to be a blocker as well. So you're going to get some nice blocks downfield, opens up a seam, and it's going to be a productive play for the Packers. So Wicks, nice seal block there. Rasheed Walker, very nice lead block easy first down. This was another big play for the Packers, but it was potentially a bad play if this defender doesn't slip. This was a cover 2 look. Watson, not sure why he's trying to hurdle in that situation, but let's go back. So just kind of at the end of the play here, this looks like a very, very deep cover 2. A little bit of cloud coverage here because they were behind on the sticks, right? So you've got your DBs, essentially a 5 line across. You've got one defender playing a little bit more shallow for those 2 routes that are underneath. And then as well on this side, corner playing underneath for the shallow route, but some good depth, which is usually 5 across here, and they're 2 high shell. So we just had a crosser come across the field. So he's supposed to be getting behind these backers, and he's able to do that. But I think there was some recognition by Snead here. Snead is a very good player. Came over from Kansas City, but he's able to read it. But unfortunately, he can't undercut it. So I think he read it a little bit too late. He slips, and that's just going to make it an easier play for the Packers. And he gets the ball within the 15. Here we've got a play where there may have been potential for a touchdown, but I think it has to be a perfect pass. And it's just Malik's eyes, and instead it's going to end up being a sack. So let's just take it back a little bit. And we're going to look at Wicks. He does throw his hand up. He's just going to be doing essentially a through route coming over the top. Right? He's going to be heading towards that back pylon. And I think the safety here is trying to bait him a little bit. Right? You essentially have these 2 defenders that could potentially make a play. But if that ball is perfect, and instead of throwing the route or throwing to the player, right, his eyes are on the other side of the field at the moment, right? His eyes are looking this way. But if he was ready for Wicks and he throws the ball at the back pylon, that makes it a very, very tough play for the DB to backpedal into that, and also this safety to break on it. So it would have to be a perfect ball, but there is that potential of a score there, but instead ends up being a sack. So he does play very safe, doesn't risk it there, no turnover, and obviously the Packers end up getting points on this drive. Next play is a scoring play, and of course you've got this orbit motion that we've seen multiple times in the past 2 weeks. LaFleur loves his motions, but this is just a simple swing screen out there to the left. Decent lanes all the way down the field, getting some good blocks. Offensive lineman downfield blocking, receivers blocking downfield, and Wilson able to get an easy walk-in touchdown. So it's just that motion stressing the defense, right? You have a pressure look as well, right? So you have pressure coming off the edge, and what's good against pressure? Screens. So now you've got this extra man that is essentially blitzing, and he's just getting caught upfield, right? On these 2nd and long plays, you want to try to get some yardage back. So I don't think he was, designing this play to be a touchdown, but they just happen to bring pressure on 2nd and long, and a screen counters that pressure, and it's able to be a nice score for the Packers. Next play, this is recognition by Malik Willis. Essentially, all your players on the Titans are within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage. What coverage do you think it is? It's probably cover 0. There's no deep safeties. That means there's no deep safety help. This is a concept that we saw earlier. It's the shock, right? So we're just going to have these double hooks, essentially, the stick route, the hook route, and then you're going to have a slot fade. And I just think this is a tough throw, right? He's expecting pressure. He recognizes it. It's man across the board. You can see locked coverage. And then Wicks able to get beyond his coverage. It's just the throw is a bit outside. So we'll see it much better from this angle. It's a little bit hard to tell from the TV angle how far it was off, but he sees the pressure. Jacobs does a nice job of picking that up. And if you've got 0, it's kind of tough to know if you've got enough protection for everyone. So he's just going to get the ball out quick. And that's, 4 yards off to the left. Wicks isn't expecting it. So not able to complete that, although I like the idea. All right, last two plays. I'm just going to run through quick. This is just really good patience by Wilson. What looks to be stopped for a very, very short gain or no gain at all is going to be an 8-yard gain because he's able to be patient here at the line. So he's able to do a little bit of a stutter step, find a little crease, and get yards. And of course, the run game opens up a little bit later in the game. So we have a nice big run here by Jacobs. 1st and 10, goes for 11 yards, able to get a first down. But what do you notice? Why is it easier to run? Who's in the game? It's not Jeffrey Simmons. It's not Sweat, right? So you don't have those big bodies, the good players on this play. So the offensive line is going to be able to get a nice push. Ryan's able to seal him out. Tom is able to get upfield. So you get a nice push and a nice gain for 11 yards. So a little bit easier run when you're going against the second stringers there at the very end. All right, so just kind of a final sum up after watching the film. Obviously, I didn't show you every single play, but I had a collection of plays that I thought were interesting. And just the Packers offense, very efficient, very smart, very much team-oriented. And it has been effective for them in 2 games. And when we think of Malik Willis coming in, this isn't even the full range of plays that the Packers can run. If you watch through the film, there's a lot of duplicates. There's a lot of plays that are called 3 or 4 times. So I would imagine that the call sheet that he's got is, somewhere between 25 different plays, 25, 30 different plays, which is not the full expanse of the offense yet. The fact that the Packers are able to be this efficient, able to move the ball, it is a very promising sign for once Love is able to return healthy. Hopefully that's going to be next week against Minnesota, but I'm also kind of a fan of them not rushing it and making sure that he's 100% healthy before he steps back on the field. So if you guys have been enjoying this type of content, please subscribe. I would appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next video. I've got the Packers defensive review coming up very soon after this video. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.